Power of subconscious mind. Properties of our conscious imp, subconscious mind. There are 2 degrees of your brain, the conscious and the subconscious. You think with your conscious brain, and whatever you constantly think sinks down into your inner mind, which makes as indicated by the idea of your considerations. When the inner mind acknowledges a thought, it starts to execute it. It is a fascinating and unobtrusive truth that the law of the inner mind works for good and poorly conceived notions in the same manner. You will get a response or reaction from your subconscious mind according to the nature of the idea or thought you hold in your conscious brain. You should recollect that these are not 2 personalities. They are just 2 circles of movement inside one brain. Your conscious brain is the thinking mind. It is that part of the brain which picks. For instance, you pick your books, your home, and your accomplice throughout everyday life. You settle on the entirety of your choices with your conscious brain. Then again, with no conscious decision on your part, your heart is working consequently, and the procedure of absorption, flow, and breathing is carried on by your subconscious mind through procedures free of your conscious control. Your psyche mind acknowledges what is presented for it or what you intentionally accept. It doesn't reason things out like your conscious brain, and it doesn't contend with you. It reacts as per the idea of your musings or recommendations. Mood, relations, and the subconscious mind. Fear is the main thing which is preventing numerous individuals from getting what they need, from turning out to be what they need to be. All that we need is out on the opposite side of fear. Fear is essentially a negative idea which we can defeat effectively by continually reminding our subconscious brain to not to fear. Become sincerely adult. Nobody can upset us except if we permit them to. At whatever point somebody says something awful to us, we either have 2 options, either to react to him in the manner in which he is tossing negative vitality back to them, or on the other hand, try to avoid panicking, positive, and not react to him by any stretch of the imagination. At whatever point we blow up. First, we choose to blow up at others' responses. At that point, we produce a feeling of outrage. At that point, we permit the feeling to change over itself into physical reality. Isn't it silliness to blow up? It is appropriately said that a man is the result of his thoughts. A man is a thing that he thinks throughout the day. You can never stay upbeat when you do terrible to other people. A story was referenced as a lawbreaker who had all the extravagances yet not comfort. He had a home in Germany and France. He said, "Even though I had all the extravagances yet, I was unable to rest on account of the fear that I may be gotten by the police. The sentiment of blame used to frequent me." Your subconscious brain has the intensity of getting something reality that doesn't exist. Ever had an inclination, at whatever point you are in a specific circumstance, and you recollect that I have seen something like this beforehand, moreover? Indeed, you have seen it in your fantasy. It's called déjà vu. It implies that the psyche brain can get something real that doesn't exist. It can create a desired solution of your problem. Universally acceptable healing process. Since we know that the subconscious mind works on our beliefs, we can heal our own body naturally if we believe so. In the old times, healers asserted that they could fix ailments by only touching the patients. Various patients were in reality treated. This strategy made people believe that they could be healed just by touch. That is, whatever drives you to sincerely accept and expect that you will be healed will make healing almost certain. This is how the placebo effect works. Placebos can affect how patients perceive their condition and encourage the body's chemical processes for relieving pain and a few other symptoms, but have no impact on the disease itself. If you say, "I want to heal, but I can't get it. I try so hard. I force myself to pray. I use all the willpower I have," you must realize that your error lies in your effort. Never try to compel the subconscious mind to accept your idea by exercising willpower. It means the harmonious union or agreement between your conscious and subconscious on an idea, desire, or mental image. When there is no longer any quarrel in either part of your mind, your prayer will be answered. Success and your subconscious mind. I have conversed with numerous individuals during the previous 35 years whose typical grumbling is, I have said for a considerable time and months, I am well off, I am prosperous, and nothing has occurred. I found that when they stated, I am prosperous, I am wealthy, they felt inside that they were deceiving themselves. Murphy informs us regarding the significance of persuading one's subconscious brain of the possibility that one merits that much cash. He additionally expounds on the significance of conquering the feeling begrudge. He discloses to us that riches are just a subliminal conviction for the person. You won't become a millionaire by saying, I am a tycoon, I am a millionaire. You will develop into a riches awareness by working into your attitude the possibility of riches and plenitude. Rehash for around 5 minutes to yourself 3 or 4 times each day. Riches, success. These words have a huge influence. They speak to the internal intensity of the subconscious mind. Stay your brain on this generous force inside you. At that point, conditions and circumpositions compared to their tendency and quality will be shown in your life. The sentiment of riches produces riches. Remember this consistently. Your inner mind resembles a bank, a kind of all-inclusive monetary foundation. It amplifies whatever you store or put forth for it, whether it is the possibility of riches or destitution. Choose wealth. The Baudouin Technique. Charles Baudouin was a professor at the Rousseau Institute in France. He was a splendid psychotherapist and an examination executive of the New Nancy School of Healing, who in 1910 instructed that the most ideal approach to intrigue the inner mind was to go into a languid, tired state, or a state much the same as rest, wherein all exertion was decreased to a base. At that point, in a calm, latent, open way, by reflection, he would pass on the plan to the inner mind. Coming up next is his recipe. An extremely basic method of making sure about this impregnation of the inner mind is to consolidate the thought which is to be the object of recommendation, to summarize it in a concise expression which can be promptly graven on the memory, and to rehash it again and again as a children's song. The sleeping technique. By going into a sluggish, lazy state, exertion is limited. The conscious brain is lowered by and large when in a lethargic state. The explanation behind this is the most noteworthy level of the outcropping of the inner mind happens before rest and soon after we stir. In this express, the negative considerations, which will in general kill your craving this forestall acknowledgement by your psyche mind, are not, at this point, present. Assume you need to dispose of a dangerous propensity. Accept an agreeable stance, loosen up your body, stay composed. Get into a tired state, and in that lethargic state, say discreetly, again and again as a bedtime song, I am liberated from this propensity. Amicability and true serenity rule. Repeat the above gradually, unobtrusively, and affectionately for 5 or brief nights and mornings. Each time you rehash the words, the enthusiastic worth gets more noteworthy. At the point when the urge comes to rehash the negative propensity, rehash the above recipe for all to hear without anyone else. By this implies you instigate the inner mind to acknowledge the thought, and amending follows. The visualization technique. The least demanding and most clear approach to plan thought is to picture it, to consider it to be your imagination as distinctively as though it were alive. You can see with the unaided eye just what as of now exists in the outer world. Along these lines, what you can imagine in your brain's eye as of now exists in the undetectable domains of your psyche. Any image which you have in your psyche is the substance of things sought after and the proof of things not seen. What you structure in your creative mind is as genuine as any piece of your body. The thought and the idea are genuine and will one day show up in your target world if you are devoted to your psychological picture. This procedure of reasoning structures impressions in your psyche. These impressions thus become shown as realities and encounters throughout your life. The manufacturer envisions the kind of building he needs. He considers it to be, he wants it to be finished. His symbolism and manners of thinking become a plastic form from which the structure will rise, a wonderful or a terrible one, a high rise or a low one. His psychological symbolism is anticipated as it is drawn on paper. Inevitably, the contractual worker and his laborers assemble the basic materials, and the structure advances until its stands got done with, adjusting impeccably to the psychological examples of the designer.